Hey guys, Miss Marcus here, and with the rumours that we may or may not be getting the European 11 and World 11 back into PES 2015, I have decided, and along with the PES Universe people over at PESuniverse.com, link in the description below, to basically have a prediction for what a European 11 potential starting 11 and a World 11 starting 11 as well. But just to make the video a little bit more longer and a little bit added extra, I added in the substitutes for the both European 11 and World 11. So let's get started. So in goal for European 11, I have Oliver Kahn of Germany, the goalkeeper. Absolutely fantastic goalkeeper, Bayern Munich player, one of the best goalies in the world. He's always one of the best goalies in general, but of course he is an absolutely fantastic player. And again, German goalkeepers as well, can't really go wrong with them. So moving on to centre back, I have Lilian Thuram of France, the centre back. He's another great player, winning the World Cup, of course, in '98 with France when they had like Vieira and Henry and whatnot. But of course, him in the centre back position, along with Franz Beckenbauer, of course, another Germany centre back. He of course won the World Cup several times with West Germany, so he's just a great player. And the third centre back in my back three is Paolo Maldini, the absolute Italian beast who was at AC Milan for what, 20 years? 25 years? Ridiculous amount of time. Absolutely great player, won Champions Leagues there. I'm sure he probably won a World Cup. I mean, the man's an absolute animal. So moving into midfield, we had Ronald Koeman, the Dutch midfielder, who's now, of course, is the manager of Southampton. He was absolutely great at Barcelona when he was there, winning league titles and whatnot, and the Champions League as well. So with that in mind, moving into attacking midfield, actually we'll go right wing first. Right wing is Luis Figo of both Real Madrid and Barcelona, the Portuguese midfielder. Absolutely great player, but due to the fact that he played for both Real Madrid and Barcelona, maybe he's a bit of a Judas, but to be honest, I think he's still absolutely fantastic. In another attacking midfield position, we have Zinedine Zidane of France, the man who basically had the most ridiculous ending to a career by headbutting Marco Materazzi, but basically Materazzi probably deserved it. And with that logic, the man is a legend. I mean, he was a legend on the football field and not off it, really. Didn't really do much off the football field in terms of like causing trouble, but the man, absolutely great player. Zinedine Zidane in an attacking midfield position. At left wing, I had George Best, of course, a Northern Irish player, former Man United player, of course. Absolutely great player, probably one of the best left wingers Man United have ever had, basically up there with, well, Ryan Giggs. You would say Ryan Giggs would be, people now would say Ryan Giggs is better than him. I would say no. George Best was and always will be the best the best left winger Man United will ever have, probably ever, until someone else comes along. But yeah, George Best, left wing. Another technically attacking midfield, even though he was really a forward, is Alfredo Di Stefano, the Spanish, technically Argentinian, as well as playing for Colombia. Real Madrid player as well. I mean, look at all those European Cups. He had 5 of them. I mean, he was back in the day when they won the European League, they won the European Cup, which is called the Champions League now, the European Cup back then, when they won it like 4 times in a row. So absolutely great player. Probably he's considered one of the best players in the world of all time. So he has to be in the European 11, doesn't he? So moving on to the 2 strikers, we have Johan CRUYFF, the absolutely great player, the Dutch player, playing for the likes of Ajax and Barcelona, basically in his prime and in their prime, winning them Champions Leagues and league titles. Absolutely great player. And next to him up front is Gerd MULLER of Germany, another striker, of course, with his crazy goal scoring record. I'm sure Miroslav Klose beat his record, but it doesn't really matter because Muller is an absolutely fantastic player. And moving on to the substitutes, we had, well, I'm going to put in the substitutes, if I got the chance to put these in, I'd put in Gordon Banks of England, another great goalkeeper. Go and just put Gordon Banks save into YouTube if you don't know what I'm talking about, because he's an absolutely fantastic goalkeeper. Marcel DESAILLY in France as a centre back, another great player who probably would get in the starting lineup for me, because I usually don't play with 3 at the back, but I've decided to go with 3 at the back for this. Another centre back is FABIO CANNAVARO. Fabio Cannavaro, the Italian centre-back, of course, winning the World Cup in 2006 with Italy. Another great player, played for Juventus for the majority of his career, as well as Real Madrid. Paul Scholes has to be in there as the English centre midfielder. Not a lot of England players in the starting, well, there's no England players in the starting lineup. So of course you have to get someone to sit on the bench, and Paul Scholes deserves to be there. To be fair, it's between him and Roy Keane, and I put Paul Scholes just because Paul Scholes is an absolute animal. David Beckham as another England midfielder. I was going to put in Thierry Henry here because I think Thierry Henry, of course, is an absolute great player as well. Like, of course, he's an Arsenal legend, and as an Arsenal fan, of course, that's what I would want. But of course, Thierry Henry hasn't retired yet, so I'm going to go for that logic that if you've not retired, then you can't really be in a European 11. You could be in a classic France team, for example, but you can't be in a European 11 because technically it's for retired players, more or less. So moving into the two striking positions. For the substitutes bench, I had Michel Platini, who's an absolutely great player. Not a great player now, he's of course the head of UEFA, but people think he's like a scumbag in terms of like his politics for the UEFA, for UEFA in general. It doesn't really matter if he was an absolutely fantastic footballer, because he actually was. So, and of course his other striking partner is HRISTO STOICHKOV, one of the Bulgarians' best players ever, and I don't think there'll ever be another player like him for Bulgaria. Of course, another Barcelona, a former Barcelona player. I'm sure he probably played for the same team as Ronald Koeman, because more or less they were in the same sort of kit. So Stoichkov as the last player in the in the substitutes bench for the European 11. So here is the final team on the screen right now in the formation which I chose, and now we'll be moving on to the World 11. So in goal for World 11, it is a bit controversial because usually World 11 are usually the people who aren't European, but for this reason I decided to put in Lev Yashin into goal for the World 11, the Russian goalkeeper. He's an absolutely great player, and technically you have to say yes, Russia is considered a European nation because of the fact they're in the Euros. But back then, when they were the Soviet Union, they weren't playing in the European championships because they weren't really a thing. So I decided to put Lev Yashin in because there's not that many goalkeepers from the likes of Brazil and Argentina and Australia and whatnot. So Lev Yashin in goal for World 11. At right back you have Cafu, absolutely fantastic Brazilian defender, former AC Milan player as well. Just can't go wrong with him bombing up that right hand side. And of course with this team you get a lot of width because of course you have a lot of players, and of course I think I was playing a 4-5-1 formation. So at centre back, Chumpataz, I've never actually heard of him that much before I of course did some research. He sounded like one of the best players ever as a centre back. So I was searching about for him, looking a bit. It's like Peruvian players aren't usually that good, and like not being harsh to Peruvian players, but they are actually pretty bad. But he's basically considered one of the best Peruvian midfield defenders of all time. So his defensive partner in centre back is Luis Monti, the Argentinian defender, who I think he was also played for Spain, if I remember correctly. Oh no, Italy. He played for Italy because you can tell by that hairstyle. I mean, come on. So yeah, Luis Monti, another defender, absolutely great player. I already know about Luis Monti. Luis Monti is an absolutely great player. Them two in the centre back positions would scare the life out of bloody everyone. So then going on to left back to complete the back four, or back five technically, is Roberto Carlos, the former Real Madrid player. Just can't go wrong. He has to be in your World 11 at left back. No one else can really compete with him. He is the beast of all beasts. He's just absolutely fantastic. So moving into midfield, we have Batista as the Argentinian at centre defence midfield. Absolutely not a great player, but again, him and the next player can easily swap between the two roles. And the next player, of course, is Socrates of Brazil. Now this, some people probably disagree with this, but personally I think that's absolutely fantastic. Socrates was, some people don't think he's that good because he never actually won a World Cup, but my god, the man, have you seen him at the World Cup? Him at the World Cup, put Socrates World Cup into YouTube and you'll see there'll be a nice little compilation video, not made by me, but a video of going up through his stuff, and he looks absolutely fantastic, and I wish I could have seen him live, but of course I was only born in 1994, so I'm not exactly going to be able to go and see him live. But I'll be able to, well, of course, now that he's unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, that I won't be able to see him ever. So yeah, so Socrates in midfield, and his midfield partner is JJ Okocha. Now this is a bit goddamn not predictable, a bit controversial again, because JJ Okocha, you can probably say, is not actually that good at all. The Nigerian midfielder is, well, some people would say he's very inconsistent, but then again, you want a man who can just go out and score some random goals for you, or run past about 20 people and pop it back for an easy tap in for your strikers. So moving on to right midfield, even though technically he's actually a forward, is Pele. Of course, Pele has to be there. He's considered one of the best players in the world, best players of all time, winning World Cups, winning, well, he didn't win Champions Leagues or anything because he didn't really play in Europe. So with that, Pele got a nice little young picture of Pele, and of course Brazilian forward, everyone knows him. Moving on to the left hand side of the forward three is Lionel Messi. Yes, it's between Messi and Maradona. Maradona is actually on the bench. I was going to put Maradona in, and I thought Maradona, Pele up front with the other striker is going to be really unbalanced. Messi could potentially get back a little bit more. Pele with his younger legs could also get back. But then of course you have the beast up front, the number one centre striker, the number 9, and it is George Weah. George Weah is just so good. Absolutely great player, played for Milan. Look at him, he just looks, he's an absolute animal, both in real life, in any games that he's ever been in. George Weah has always caused so many problems for people. But moving on to the substitutes bench, we have Sheila Ver in goal, or Sheila Vert in goal for the Paraguayan goalkeeper. Again, it was between him and Lev Yashin for the starting lineup, and I decided to put Lev in because Sheila Ver, personally, he was already in the Midnight Kids one, so I decided I'll go with someone different. And moving on to the centre backs, we had Carlos Alberto as a Brazilian defender. He's actually considered one of the best right backs of all time, which, to be fair, he's Brazilian and he gets forward, scores goals. I mean, what else do you need? And of course, in another defensive sort of position is Passarella of Argentina. I think he won one World Cup, and then he didn't actually do anything else really. But he, again, if you're winning a World Cup, you basically have to be considered a very good player. So moving into midfield, we have Didi in midfield, the Brazilian midfielder. Again, not much to really say about him. He's just basically a fantastic player. And of course, like I said, Maradona is on the bench. I could have put him in instead of Messi in the starting lineup, but I decided to put Maradona in. And of course, we have the two last players in the team, who are Romario, Brazilian striker. Can't really go wrong with him. The Barcelona, I'm pretty sure he's a Barcelona player. And of course, we have one of the best players of all time, one of the best strikers of all time, and that would be Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, sometimes commonly known as Fat Ronaldo, but he's not fat anymore because he's an absolute animal. So Ronaldo, of course, World 11. I could put him in the starting lineup. I could even change the formation to 4-4-2 or even 4-3-3, and you could have George Weah, Ronaldo and Pele up front, George Weah, Ronaldo and Messi up front, George Weah, Ronaldo or Maradona up front. And here is the final lineup for both teams, as well as the final lineup for the World 11, which you haven't seen yet, with the formation and whatnot. And basically, I just want you to go to PESuniverse.com and comment below in the little comment section with your World 11 and European 11, or comment below in this video, to be honest, and basically just check the link in the description, check out PES Universe and see if you enjoy it, and see if you want to get in with this sort of stuff, because it's quite a cool thing to do. So yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe my channel for more, and catch you later.